Welcome back to Story Deep Dive with Rachel and Dana. This is a podcast where two book coaches, editors, and besties discuss books not as readers but as writers to draw inspiration from great books and have plenty of laughs along the way because writing is more fun with friends. So this month, this is the month of December, and we're doing something a little bit different to kind of wrap up the year and really just take the opportunity to reflect. We have done 11 books. Yes, we did. We went through 11 books this year. And so today we just are going to talk a little bit about some of our favorite moments, some of our top takeaways from the past year. It's crazy to think that we've already done the podcast for a year. So, and then we'll be doing more of these kind of like recap episodes as we go through the rest of the month. Without further ado, Dana, I'm just going to kick it over to you. Talk to me about what are some of your favorite moments? What has been like your experience of like recording the podcast? Just talk to me a little bit about like what the last year has been for you and what it's meant and what you've kind of taken away over the last year.
You know, listen, y'all, we prepare, and Dana, of course, my notes taking, you know, it sound like a mumble mush mouth. I think the first thing that I could think of is we did it. Like, I feel like I want to do an acceptance speech. I want to thank the little people, you know, like. But I think the first thing that stands out on top of everything is like we talked about this for so long.
Yeah.
And we've said it time and time again. Like we talked about this for so long. Like I'm talking about years. Y'all, we even had like lists and then we would talk about it and we just did it. And then something last year just clicked and we just did it.
It was just time.
So the first thing, and then I think that's it. The first thing was like we did it and that we managed to do it with very, very, very busy schedules. I just couldn't imagine doing it with anybody else. Like the fact that y'all, she has to be so patient. Listen, y'all, I'm ready, but you might have to remind me a couple of times of what we said we was going to do. Now, once you tell me and the camera is on, y'all, I'm going to do what I need to do. But, you know, I absolutely loved our book picks.
Yeah.
I love the conversation. So if I have to talk about favorite parts, I think some of my best parts are the parts that are not on the recorded line.
Yeah. I was thinking about that too, of like all of the conversations we had before we hit record and all of the giggling and the bloopers and the kind of hot takes.
And you know, when you're doing like the real nitty gritty. And I think we kind of had a conversation before or after one of our most recent episodes where sort of realizing like when we read in isolation and we sort of have that first brush with the content with each other, we could feel one way. And then once we have the full conversation and you think about it substantively and you think about the whole picture after we recorded the episodes, it's like, oh, that book was actually good, you know, like. And so I think what it's done on the flip side of like being a favorite moment is how discussing the story and you can sort of retain and have the details of that story pulled into you and in your mind and why you like to read it and why you like to suggest it. But having the conversation about it and then sort of doubling down on, well, I know I like that story, but here's why. Here's what I feel is. So articulating that and having a conversation around it. And so it just makes me feel like I'm looking forward to whatever, you know, we've worked on for next year. And I'm super proud of us for getting it done. And I think, you know, being able to push and build our audience will make it even better. But I think us having this sort of these reps, because by the time you look at it, like I think we'll end up being over 50 episodes when we close out the year.
Yeah.
And that is, like when you think about it like that, it is insane. It is insane. And the fact that we record them, I mean, if you think about it, it's like 52, no, I guess technically it'll end up being 60, right? Episodes. If we have 12, well, no, by 4. So well, but I think we got a couple more. But the point is, by the time it's said and done, we'll have roughly 50 episodes with like 12 sessions of recording, which is insane, of days, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's just, I would say, deciding to do it and following through.
Yeah.
Having a great person to work with, how we, you know, do and split the work. I think helping us to really talk through how we see story. And I think we knew a lot of that anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was a surprise. But I think us having those things where we're talking about it and then bouncing off and finding other little nuances because of our conversation. Of like, oh, yeah, because this, you know, I think I kind of am thinking about whistleblower, some of those conversations and then mixing it. So the point of it is I liked everything. I mean, even though after this recordings, we are brain tired, we are beatboxing. It is like so much, but I wouldn't change it. And I think it has just been a great experience.
Yeah. I'm wondering, because you kind of like mentioned this, and I think you might have mentioned one of the books that might fall under this category for you. Talk to me about, like, tell me about one of the books that, like, and because presumably it has to be one of my book picks that you were like, I don't know about this. This is, and then after the conversation feeling like, oh, okay, you know what? That was pretty solid.
First of all, I think low-key, I think that almost every one of your picks. Because I never, you are the most consistent at having, you are the most consistent at having really great picks. But when you start reading it, I'm just like, this might be the time.
This might be the one that kills me. This might be the one that does me in.
Listen, the whistleblower, I just knew you had it out for me. However...
I will stand by that. Is a hill I will die on. I stand by this.
You almost did. You almost did.
Dana almost came for me.
Listen, but that's not the one that I think is. I mean, we may blend all this together. I feel like the one that is probably the one that I was very surprised at, that I really, really enjoyed, was The Woman in the Library.
Yeah, tell me about that.
That was I just feel like. Number one, I don't think I would have ever picked the book, but I think after I started reading, I would have kept reading it.
Yeah.
So it was a great one. I thought I think I really enjoyed almost everything about that book. The characters, the story. Yeah, I did. I really did.
It's a great one.
Look, I really did. And so, and then I think it's easy to say Ninth House, but you know, you'd already had my sort of immediate responses to Ninth House when I read it the first time, but that was still one of your picks before we were doing it for this. So Ninth House, I think of all of the books from last year, I think Ninth House is probably my favorite of the ones that you selected. But I think the Woman in the Library was probably the one that I was like, like, I like this. Like, I could read more. I mean, I would want to read it slow. I think that's one of those books that I would have probably even preferred to read it with a physical copy. And just being able to just, chillax and read it. So, yeah. Okay, so now it's your turn. Flip. Same question for you.
Okay. Are you gonna repeat the question to me, or just gonna be like, I don't know, talk about the same thing?
I think I could. Well, first, let me get your overall take of the year first, because you started asking questions, then I'll ask you what was the pick that surprised you.
This always happens. I get on a roll, and then I start like,
and then you just taking us off on a tangent.
I will say I'm really pleased that you liked Ninth House, because obviously next year the sequel's going to be in there. And I don't know if you saw the announcement, but the third installment in the Ninth House series comes out next year.
Did she have a date?
I think it's she doesn't have. It's like September 2025 or something like that, or 2026. I mean, so there is like a
date.
There's not like a date, but it's it's month and year. So it's it's happening. And I'm also glad. You know that like in traditional publishing, when they set a date, like it's come hell or high water, it's happening. But I can't tell you guys how excited I am. I've been waiting for this book for like 2 years now. I can't wait. So anyway, so know that even though I got you started on a series that isn't gonna, like, that wasn't finished at the time, it's gonna be finished soon. So
she heard that I was not ready to read book 2 until I knew book 3 was coming. Don't be playing with my emotions.
Lee was like, Dana, I got you, babe. I got you. Okay, so let me try to cast my mind back to the year. Definitely, you know, actually finally sitting down to do it. Just you've already really touched on this, but we've talked about this for a long time, and it's just like a normal part of like both our friendship and our professional relationship. We always talk about books, and so this, minus the difficulty of scheduling, is like the most natural thing in the world, like for us, right? Like to have these conversations. Like we show up with our notes, and we usually before we record, we do a quick debrief to just like kind of touch on notes, just see where the other person is at. But like we always are like in complementary spaces whenever we're talking about books. Like it's just, this is such a normal part of, again, our friendship and our professional, the way we do things professionally and our professional relationship, that it's just, honestly, like, again, it's easy to just slip into the conversation. Like to just, you know, you've read the book, you sit down, and it's like, we hit record and it's like the magic happens. And again, by the end, it's like the magic is gone. Like I can't think straight anymore. Yeah, it's so cool that this has like finally come to pass. And I think about like this time next year, then we will be celebrating 100 episodes.
100 episodes.
Which is really, really cool. So, and honestly, this has been one of the things that's been really cool this year has been, so I've read a few romance novels with you. Like you've given me some recs, and, you know, I have a romance client of my own. And, but this has started to give me an opportunity to actually see the subgenres in action, like the niches in action. And that has been so interesting for me because I've listened to you talk about it for years. Because I don't normally work in romance, I don't read as much romance, I'm not often really diving into very specific niches. And so getting the opportunity to, even though really, like, you know, we hit a little bit of dark romance, but we scratch like this, so this is like still dark romance light. Like we haven't even gone down the rabbit hole of like dark romance. But getting to see the, those niches in action, and then, you know, having the things we never got over as almost like a point of comparison, which is like steamy contemporary romance, and then kind of getting to see these other sort of like satellite like niche romance novels was really cool, because I felt like I'm getting a window into your world and how you coach your clients. And it's been an opportunity for me to actually get to see that and peel back the layers on that and understand even more deeply how you work with your clients and how you help them position themselves in the market, and write their stories as well. And so that's just been, it has stretched me in good ways, but it's also, it's been genuinely interesting for me. So what was there another question?
When you say generally interesting.
I said genuinely interesting, not generally. It's been generally interesting. It's been genuinely interesting.
And yo, Rachel always has the most interesting responses the first time. I know when she just started reading the stories and when she's finished. And it's always like, yo, because our picks, if you have not noticed, are just
could not be more different.
Night and day. They're night and day.
Just wait till next year.
I know. And I've already picked some
good ones.
Okay, so your next question was, what is a selection that surprised you this year?
Ooh, you know what? I'm gonna say one of the selections that surprised me this year. This is tough, actually, because I was originally going to say Sin and Chocolate, because I hadn't read it yet, and this was one that you've been that you've been recommending to me for a while. But actually, the one that surprised me was like Twisted Love particularly after we had the conversation. So like, again, it's not a book that was like necessarily for me. I wouldn't seek out a book like in this niche or of this type, but getting your perspective on what Anna Huang did, right, as an author, and the way that she positioned herself and the way that she, kind of leveraged dark romance while still sort of keeping it in the feel of a contemporary romance in a way that I think was even more successful than Beautifully Cruel did. That was really, really interesting to me. Like that conversation and understanding and getting that perspective opened up my, like, again, just even more layers to how to position yourself in the romance marketplace and how people who are very, very successful do that and how they kind of like pull that off in the story as well. That ended up, whereas before I sort of was like, by the end I was like, oh, this is really interesting, right? So that one, that's why I'm like, that one was sort of like a sleeper cell on me, because I think we talked about this in the episode, but I started reading Twisted Love, and after I read the first sex scene in the story, I sent Dana a polo and I said, ma'am, what in the tarnation do you have me reading? My eyebrows are gone, my pearls are clutched. Where am I? What did you subject me to, ma'am? And she got a very dramatic polo from me. Just my immediate reaction to that first sex scene. So to go from there to like, oh, this is really interesting what Anna Huang did and how she positions herself as an author and used dark romance was like, okay, I see you.
But here's the thing about it that kind of is on my the flip side. I feel like there are times where I know I like a story and there's reasons why I recommend it, but I don't sit down a lot of times and go into some of the things that I have to think about to discuss it.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's normal, but to sit and actually discuss it, and especially when I knew that you were low key like, what in the world she got me reading? But I was like, this is a really good pick. And what it does to me, or what it says to me, I've always been a person that I would have probably like more, what do you call, I can't think of what it is called categorically, but just more like mainstream popular fiction, even though I wouldn't still say popular. It's starting to become popular now, but I do, because a lot of my clients you're writing and releasing now. You're writing, releasing, and charting now. So we're not looking at something that we're writing and putting out into the world a year, 2 years from now.
Yeah. So
me understanding and being on the forefront of that is crucial, especially when we're looking at how they are progressing in their own writing and in their own storytelling. So I think that makes for my selections in general being different, because they may not always be what people consider like the most like literary and all that, but they still have all the feels. They move, they hit the points, and then they elevate in some way. And so, all the spaces that I'm normally in, my picks are not the picks that most people would pick.
Yeah.
Right? And, but at the same time, you're starting to see why this book can be, 3-4 years old and still at the top of the bestsellers list. Like what they've done. So I'm always looking forward to standing my ground and looking forward to the day where the first shocking sex scene is not the thing that just like you just step on your forehead, like where you can, like me, I'd be like, oh yeah, that is in that book. Like
where it just doesn't even faze me. And I'm just like, what? Oh yeah, I guess.
I think you'll still notice it, but it won't be the thing where you're just like, I cannot believe the girl. All the stuff, baby, they was moving furniture in that book. It was all kind of stuff in that book.
It was wild times.
Like, pick a scene.
It was wild times.
Pick a scene. And I think I wouldn't say we did this on purpose. I don't think we did this on purpose. But I feel like the progression, on my side with my picks did a really interesting job of sort of bringing us back around, right? Of like looking at some things that we looked at earlier in the year, especially if it was your first time. I think Beautifully Cruel was a very good pick before getting to something like Twisted Love.
Yeah.
I think there's others that I could have went with, but I was really kind of making a point, right? So, having Things We Never Got Over early on was a really great thing to sort of, stick a sort of like put a pin in it, and then begin to sort of dance around certain things so that there could be comparisons made.
Yeah.
And I think it makes for an interesting conversation for someone who wants to write in romance to see like there is a lot of spectrum here.
Yeah.
And making those choices to piggyback on a conversation that we had at the end of our in our bonus topic in November, that knowing your brand and where you are on that shelf and how you show up in that marketplace, you see that there are so many selections and making them how they can play out on the page. So I feel like that was a great job. I'm looking forward to my picks for 2026.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know if I have any shockers. I think I have some good ones though. I think I need to find one to have a moment where you could clutch your pearls just a little bit.
In all fairness, one of my picks I picked it because I love it, but I almost didn't pick it because I didn't think you would. I thought that you would be like, ugh.
Which one?
Are we gonna like spill the beans early?
Yeah, go ahead. I want to know.
It's Sharp Objects, which is it's a fantastic crime story, and it's just stunningly written, but it is deeply uncomfortable. Like it's like, and it gives you all the like, and I almost didn't. This is why we ended up with Janet Ivanovich earlier this year, because I was like, I really want to do Sharp Objects, but I'm afraid Dana's gonna hate it. And then you were like, I'm not worried about you, so why don't you just go ahead and pick your books? And I was like, all right then, Sharp Objects it is.
Rachel, when you start describing your books and you have your like literary fingers, like I should be very concerned. I should be very concerned and
# literary fingers.
Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. I'm down.
So one of the things that I think is really good is that this year we did The Whistleblower and we did The Woman in the Library. So you got acquainted with like the crime genre, like just a little bit more like the kind of nitty gritty of crime. And it's not going to be like The Woman in the Library. It's going to be like The Whistleblower in that it is squarely in crime, but it's not as dense of a read. It's a shorter book and it's not as dense. But it just really, like, the way that she approaches her themes are really, really well done. So I think you'll be able to appreciate it as an editor, if not as, and I think like in the end you'll like it, but it's one of those, I think it's going to be like Ninth House, I think, where you're like, what do you have me reading? And I'm going to be like, I promise, just see it through to the end and then it'll be okay, probably.
Just don't say nothing else about it, because I'm going to be nervous before I even touch the book. Listen,
if you need to throw a shocker in there, it's just, it's okay. It's okay. You're like, you know what? You want to do Sharp Objects, I raise you, off the wall dark romance, whatever you gotta do.
No, because I don't feel like none of that has been what Ninth House was for me the first time I read Ninth House.
Yeah.
Because I was walking and I was leaving you text messages while I was walking.
Yes.
I stopped in the middle of my walk. Wait, what? What just happened?
The feelings were real. The text messages and the polos.
My husband was like, "What?" He was like, "What's going on?" I was like, "I don't know what just happened here," and I didn't even want to rewind it, but I had to because I was so confused. I was so confused. But here's the thing: I think having the experience, because it's not like I don't read stuff that I don't normally read. Like, that's common. Now, I don't know if I would pick these, but that's common. I think being able to get into the end and everything because we're having a discussion, because you're not like, oh, this is not my thing. You know, I'm a DNF this. But I think what it also does is I just feel like there's always parts of things where you can get inspiration that you never would have had before. And there's aspects of Ninth House that I have been like, I can't wait to read it again. Right? Because sometimes it's like you're so caught in the shock of it, like, because it was so a little bit unexpected, that when you get back around to it and you go back to it, you can be like, oh, I like how she did this. I like how she did that. And so I hope that like viewers and listeners also get the opportunity to think about things that they wouldn't have normally done and how you can get inspiration from that. I don't know if I'd ever be the gritty, but it does make me realize how much I am like a romance reader. Like I knew that, but like I know it now. Because y'all, these are going to be shorter episodes this time around. I'm really curious if there was something that you wish we would have had on our list for 2025.
Ooh. I don't think so. Mostly because I know that we have 2026 and 2027 and you know what I mean? So it's like, I think knowing that we have like, and I think this is like the beauty of the endless TBR. It's like I have a lifetime of reading ahead of me. So while it feels endless, and it is, because not only do I have books that have already been released that I want to read, but more books will continue to be released into the world. But like there is like a lifetime of reading ahead. And so what we didn't get this year, we get to do next year. And then we get to do that on the foundation of what we built this year. And I think that as we go like year by year, the same way that as we went month by month, like I am expecting that those conversations get, even deeper, and we have more reference and more foundation. And even like, I'm looking forward to 2026 because I feel like I am more informed about romance than I was at the beginning of the year, which means that when we show up for romance picks, I am able to show up more informed to those picks. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I feel about it, because I'm like already like, man, we've got more good stuff coming and probably more good stuff after that and more good stuff after that. What about you? Are there things, either books you wish that we had maybe done this year or topics you wish that we'd covered that maybe you want to look at covering next year?
Yeah, I'm hoping we get another fantasy in, because we had Sin and Chocolate. That's not fantasy, but it's PNR. And then I think because of, I know Ninth House technically, y'all, it has, I don't know, it has a weird sort of genre placement where there are some aspects of it as a super world or not super world, supernatural sort of elements to it. But I would have liked to have some fantasy. I don't know if I would have done like a romantasy or romantic fantasy or something like that, but I think that would have just been a good pick to put in there. But I think sometimes whenever I'm doing picks and being in different environments, I am always aware, like I like to have at least one book that has minority characters and like like kind of there's a lot of ground that I'm sort of trying to cover when it comes to picks in my mind. So I think for what we had, we did great. And then we also had technically a couple of PNR picks, so we did good with the time that we had. And I think there's a couple, like, I feel like y'all, the people gonna be romanced out, girl, because it's enough romance to do all kind of stuff. And then I feel like I want to do like a real like shapeshifter, wolf shifter, something like, oh my gosh. So who knows? There's a couple. So I feel like, coming up, I don't even know if I have room on my picks for next year, maybe. But that's probably the ones that I think we didn't do that I thought would have been good. But I feel like what we covered here overall did a great job of almost how like the earlier pick almost versus the later pick, because it sort of progressed the conversation. And so even as I look, I'm just like, I got a couple of like, is it a couple? I have one of like one of my all-time favorites on next year, like me having indigo this year. Then I have a couple that are new to me that I like. And so I just feel like I'm mixing it up. I think it'll be so interesting to be able to see how the conversations evolve and see how different things are sort of evolving around the same sort of, because, you know, for romance, it's the same structure, you know, give or take. And so, so yeah, I'm excited about it. And I think your pick is just add a lot of spice to my spice. I got a different kind of spice, but it adds a
different kind of spice.
Okay. Add a little variety. And I think the other thing, I was sort of thinking about it, and I don't know, I think I have maybe one more pick. I can't remember if I picked all my picks. I was like, oh, it would be pretty cool to have a thriller, like a straight thriller. Like some of the ones that I've kind of had on my list for a long time, and I'd start them and not finish them, like more like classics, if you will. Like Krauss, Alexander, like Krauss. No, girl.
I just wanted to give you a little blast from the past. That's all. But maybe like an Alex Cross. Or maybe like the 620 Man, David Baldacci.
Yep, I was
like,
thinking that one. Yep.
Lines,
and that one was so good. And so I think that would just be because I think once we have the foundation of certain ones, especially when it comes to romance, looking at others that can help give additional support for the suspense or the thriller lines.
Yeah.
You know, having other, you know, like our January, our Mistborn, that gives you a lot more exposure to world building and magic systems when we've already done like there was world building, but think about like Sin and Chocolate, right? It was a sum, but she really is sort of peeling that onion in each book. And so I think it'll just make it so that the conversations can be almost interchangeable.
Yeah.
And I think that just shows why we recommend reading and then how we're reading. Yeah. And so, yeah. And the final thing that I'm going to add to this for me is like, I think it would be so dope that in time, like some of our like blended picks become reader picks, like audience picks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like to build an audience to just like where they can start picking like one or two where it may be something new to both of us. And
I
we
would
still
love
come
that.
to the,
get the
like twice, like once a year or something, mid-year or something like that.
Twice a year. Let the readers pick something that they're like, we need to hear you talk about this book. And then get to I would love that. That would be a little bit like putting your fate in the hands of the gods. But also, I'm sure it would be very fun because you and I know how to have a good time.
Oh my goodness, y'all. And you know me, I do not do well with change. I do not do well with the things coming out of left field. So it's but I'll be down. So, and there's one book that I didn't put on the list, but now I'm like, I don't know if Rachel can take it. It would be very interesting to get your take on it.
She can take it. What is it?
Rachel,
what is it?
This one, I'll tell you offline, and I'm gonna see if you want to do it. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about it, and if you like, yep, I will swap out one of my other picks to get it.
Oh.
It is beyond anything we did this. You would just have to know your pearls will stay clutched the whole time.
Here's the thing, okay? Because I feel like I have a little bit of like a masochistic bone in my body, right? Because the thing is like, in some ways, I love being thrown out of my depth. Like, I kind of love a left field challenge. Again, this is not something that I feel has been, I've always liked a challenge, but this is not something that has been necessarily native as like as an obsessive perfectionist and high performer. This has not historically been something that I would categorize as like, ooh, I want something that I'm unfamiliar with, like, you know, something that's really gonna give me a run for my money. But this is the craziest thing to me. But like, since I started streaming on Twitch, right? Since I subjected myself to the internet and I was like, here's my face. here's my voice and my responses to this thing that I've never done before, which includes getting stuck in games, which includes screaming and getting scared, which includes getting lost, getting like all of the things in a public setting. I like a little bit, I'm like, you know what? Like, bring it on.
Bring it.
Which is how we wound up with like the trial by fire in the academy, right? Where it's like, I'm going to tell you everything that happened in the process. And it's...
I knew you was going to do it too.
Actually really, like, again, it almost feels normal, right? There's a level at which it's never quite normal where you're like, ugh. But like, that is something that has developed substantially in me over the last couple of years, where I'm a little more willing to try crazy stuff. So I can't wait till, you know, man, now I want to know. I'm on the edge of the seat.
I'm going to tell you off the recording line, because not only is it something that will have your pearls clutching the whole time, however, I do think it is closer to your world than the other romances, literary wise.
Oh.
Yeah. Very much so.
Wait, I think I know which
I
book.
think you know too, if you think about it.
Yeah.
I think you'll know, because I've told you about it. Yes.
Yeah, okay,
oh my gosh,
I know.
You will know. You all will know when we get to next year, because I think I'm going to put it in there. I think I got one more pick.
We've got a crossover pick. You have yours in, but you can always, it's not too late to swap them out.
Yeah, I know. So. I got it. I got us. I'm looking. Yeah, I'm looking at the list, checking it twice. Trying to find out who's naughty or nice, because this is about to go, then this is going to be naughty. But yes. So with that said, yeah, so I just feel like we have so many more books to explore. And I think, just like how I started at the beginning, that I'm just so glad that we've done it.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to continuing.
Awesome. Yeah, me too. All right, everyone. So we already said these are going to be a little bit shorter. We're going to get in and get out. So we are right at the whatever marker, at the 37-minute mark. So that's where we are going to wrap it for today. But please join us next week for our best of plot episode. Dana and I will be picking our 2 top picks for plot from this past year's book picks. So hope you guys will join us for that. In the meantime, don't forget to like and subscribe so you always know when those new episodes are coming out. Leave us a rating and review, and do leave us a comment if there are books you want to see, if there are questions that you want answered. We're always looking to collect questions for those bonus episodes and find out topics and books that you guys would like to hear more about. So that's it. So until then, I was like, wait, how does this end? Crap! Oh no! Thank you everyone so much for joining us. We will see you next week for our best of plot episode. And until then, happy writing.